Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including The Legend of Korra, which we'll be getting into today. I'm Dylan Hysen, and it's a From the Spirit World reunion, as I am joined by Mel Moyer.
Hello.
Brit Griffin.
Hello.
And Sam Quattro.
Hey.
Today, Mel, Brit, Sam, and I have convened to discuss Legend of Korra Turf Wars Part 1. We are very excited to get into the first ever Legend of Korra comic / graphic novel. Not our typical discussion fare here at Overly Animated, but it is a product about an animated show, and one we have previously discussed a lot here, as we are former co-hosts of From the Spirit World podcast, where we talked exclusively about Avatar: Last Airbender and Legend of Korra. If you were unaware, that's what preceded this Overly Animated podcast, where we talk about general.
It was a legendary podcast.
It was legendary.
It was a legendary podcast.
Yeah.
We were legends.
Yeah, I dropped.
Legend.
I dropped.
Like that Imagine Dragons song.
No. But not that type. I dropped the tagline. But for no overly animated tagline. I guess overly is kind of a descriptor. But yeah. So I've in case you're looking for those previous podcasts, I have Dong Bufeng is not there. It's not just your computer, but I have archived the all of our podcasts. I've moved them to Overly Animated, overlyanimated.com/FTSW/feed. This is new. Our archive feed from the Spirit World, if you want to listen back to any of our old podcasts, even though why would you? But, no, there's some of them
Learn the history.
Learn the history. You can also, I think if you search From the Spirit World, you'll probably find it too on iTunes. I also put it up on iTunes. So yeah, you can go back, listen. All of it's archived, overlyanimated.com/FTSW/feed. Okay. So yeah, we've don't talk that much about Korra on this podcast, but that's because it's not super relevant that much. But now Turf Wars Part 1 is out. We're going to get into spoilers if you have not read it. We're going to get in right away, but you can definitely order it. It's not that much on Amazon or a comic book shop or something. I think the two things of note that differentiate this from an Avatar comic, there were a bunch of Avatar comics, are one, this is written by Mike DiMartino, co-creator of Avatar and Korra. The Avatar comics were not written by Mike O'Brien. And then two is that this is a direct continuation of the story from the end of Korra. We're continuing a lot of the plot threads, specifically Korrasami, and some of the themes we're getting into, whereas the Avatar comics, not that they're unimportant, I'm just saying this is extra notable here. For Turf Wars Part 1, let me go through the credits. Written by Mike, as mentioned, art by Irene Ko, colors by Vivian Ng, letters by Nate Picos, cover by Heather Campbell and Jade Bach. Okay, let's get into our initial, just overall thoughts on Turf Wars Part 1. Did you like it, and what specifically stood out to you about it, Mel?
Obviously the thing that specifically stood out to me was the Korrasami. And for that reason, I wasn't super into the triad thing. I wasn't really a fan of that in season 1 when we did it. Now I don't really care either. I think I care even less in graphic novel form because, it's harder for me to get invested in things reading them as a graphic novel. Like I'm still learning how to read graphic novels. So with that entire triad plot, I was very checked out of most of it. But I mean, overall, obviously I enjoyed reading it because it's Korra and, an extension of Korrasami, and there was great, background and, addressing of social issues in Korra that kind of mirror our own world. So overall, I'm happy with it. It didn't need to be a huge blockbuster story for me to like it, though. So
yeah. Okay. So reasonably satisfied. Nice. Britt, what are your overall thoughts on Turf Wars Part 1?
It was pretty gay.
It was pretty gay?
I liked it.
Yeah.
It was pretty gay. I liked it. I actually liked the triads. I don't care. I'm a sucker for crime villain stories. Hopefully it'll go somewhere and not be stupid. I'm not sure how I liked the possessing of the demon of that kid thing. I was kind of like, what? I mean, okay. I mean, I'm pretty much up for anything. I like this comic much more than the other comics. It was really cute. The art was really pretty. I want to go on a vacation to the spirit world and have magic powers. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mike did a very good job of writing this. Some of the other Avatar comics have been kind of...
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
But yeah, nice.
They're not like terrible, but they're not like, I wouldn't sit down and spend a lot of time reading them, but I actually reread this one, so.
Nice, yeah, more exciting.
This gets like an A-, and the other one's like got like a C+, so. That's significant improvement.
Nice, yeah, I very much agree with those letter grades, so good, nice job on that. So very gay, says Brit. Sam, do you concur?
Well, duh, gay. I mean, isn't that why we're all here?
Yes.
I did mention at one point
today.
To me, that's really the only point to the whole comic. Just figuring out like Korrasami, and of course Mel mentioned the social issues that they touch on. The whole like triad and spirit thing is just, it feels like, just extra stuff that they just, had to put in because, you have to continue the story. You can't just have fluff for fluff's sake, right? So to me, I didn't really like it that much. I mean, yeah, of course it's nice to have canon Korrasami and all that and get to learn about, LGBT issues in the Avatar world, but I feel like I get more out of fan and stuff.
Are you saying you'd rather be reading fan fiction? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
I mean, I don't.
Not surprised.
Sam's assessment there.
Aren't auxiliary products all just fan fiction after?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the Star Wars novels, for example, that was basically canon fan fiction for a long time, so.
Mel, as a writer, what's your take on that?
I've said many times that I think fanfic is a good sandbox for young writers and people because you have established worlds that you basically can play around with without having to worry about character building, world building, yada yada.
Yeah, but is this a fanfic? That's what I'm asking.
Is this a fanfic? Yes, of course it is. I mean,
is that of
Do you
course?
think Mike is not a fan of his own creation? What?
Yeah, that's that whole debate about like Brian's posted fan art before, and he's got like art, and he's called it fan art, and then fans like, this isn't fan art, you made it, and he's like, I guess so, I don't know. So that's the whole thing. But I'm all in favor of.
Maybe he just wants to make fan art.
Yeah, like he's a fan too. It's not like this isn't fanfic because it's canon material, but like Brian just posting something on his Tumblr that he drew is, I think that counts as fan art, even though he's a creator. Anyway, yeah, I think these are all reasonable takes. I really enjoyed Turf Wars Part 1. There's elements of it that we've mentioned that I don't care about and were a little bit tough to get through reading and were even more hard to reread. But, like the main thing is that, this is like everything and more that I was hoping for Korrasami post Korra. And I think it's just remarkable that I'm sitting here saying that. I just, not that my expectations or judgment even matters, but like just the fact that they put out a product that so many Korrasami fans are satisfied with, that like meets so much of these representation goals. I mean, just from a Korrasami level, just the two of them. I mean, we had this incredible ending, and we're like, okay, this is like the great beginnings of a relationship, and we'd love to see this explored in more detail. And we see it, like explicit, like displays of affection. We have 2 kisses. We have them being intimate a lot. We see like when they learn about their feelings for each other. That was like something I didn't think I'd ever see, and it is huge. Even that scene. We'll talk about that scene. We see them exploring what it means for them to be like not straight, and like how that affects their lives, and just conflict that comes with it. We see them like grow through conflict in the story, but it's not overdone. So all of that I just love so much as a Korrasami fan. And then just seeing the portrayal of queer people in the Avatar world, I think is something I was so satisfied with too. I never in a million years thought we'd get like a history of the different cultures of how different cultures view non-straight people. Like, I think that's incredible that we got that. That Kaya scene is absurdly good. I was blown away with this relative to my kind of low expectations. I guess in a vacuum where like we're not expecting that much from like gay representation and things, then maybe this is like pedestrian. But just given the context of our world, like this to me went above and beyond, especially for like a children's medium. Like I'm blown away that kids will be reading this. I think it's incredible representation. The kids. Yeah. I don't even care about anything else about the comic. Like it's totally unimportant to me. I mean, we'll talk about it, but, just like, that's the big thing for me is like, I have like in my hand, like the canon Korosami, and it was done so well. And that's the thing I don't get into first, but what do you think of my read on that, Mel? Do you think it's valid to say we can just ignore everything else because gay?
Oh, you mean so. Ignore the
potential flaws yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, in the sense that like this isn't something I'm going to be critiquing for its merits and award-winning writing the way I was the show. Like this is something that was made. You have to consider the context too, and that's why I say, of course, it's fanfic because it was made for fans. Like this isn't something built. I mean, it's not something built to say like, oh, here's more content of Korra. Bringing in new fans, advertising, yada, yada. Like this is for people who, it's like a gift, right? To the people who watch the show. It's like, all right, here's some more story. So in that regard, like, I think it's perfectly valid to ignore any sort of flaws or objective, like inadequacies in the writing if, and I'm not saying, that makes fan service okay, because that's not what it is. It's just there are certain elements that you want to emphasize when you're doing fan work like this for fans. So I think focusing on those elements and giving them more structure than other parts, like the Korosami stuff being stronger than the Turf Wars stuff, is okay.
This just like means so much to me personally. Like I think that's true of a lot of people. Like I think that's why it stands out so much. So I think maybe there's people who are like exasperated that we're going to spend the first half hour here talking about just Korosami, but it's just like so meaningful. Like Brit, it
was like the first like 10-ish pages. It was a very important part of the story.
Yeah, they have like solo Spirit World adventures, like 15 pages, and then it's continued throughout the narrative. Do you agree, Britt, that it's like meaningful and like what stands out to you? Like I listed a lot of elements of Korosami in the comic.
I liked it. They basically went out. You got to see them have a fulfilling emotional relationship and like be like, hey, we're dating to all their friends, and like that transition from like one dynamic to another.
Yeah.
And then like being supported. And I liked how they started off with Korra's parents, just because we don't see a lot of Korra's relationship with her parents, because Clara's not as close as her parents. They're like supportive of her, but she's not close with them because she's always sort of been like an arm's length. She wasn't raised for a long time in their house, and now she lives in another city. It's kind of like when you bring your first girlfriend from the city back home when you go to college.
Yeah, I agree. Like we got a multi-tiered like coming out story of the two of them. That's so crazy to me. Like I could have never predicted that we'd get like Korosami like coming out to their parents, dealing with the ramifications of when to come out to other people, and then having it, and then at the end with them coming out to all their friends. And that's like not even the top three like standout things, but that's just such there's so much here. Sam, kind of same question. What stands out to you most from all this Korosami stuff?
I think that definitely the coming out stuff does stand out to me. A lot of what Britt said was like really resonating. Yeah. I guess of course Kaya's scene, but that's like Korosami adjacent. It's parallel but not totally involved. I don't know. I guess just seeing them and seeing them interact in a way that is more than just a meaningful handhold at the end of the series is something that means a lot, and it means a lot to have that explicitness in their language and in their actions.
Yeah, and that's another thing. It's everything here is just so explicit, explicitly presented to us, like clear kisses, clear feelings presented, clear language, and that's something I'll talk about later. When getting into queer issues here, like clear language used. That's another thing I'm super impressed with. So yeah, Mel, what do you think of that characterization of it as just like so explicitly presented? Like, were you expecting that, and also anything that stood out to you Korosami wise?
No, I wasn't expecting them to use words like orientation and that sort of thing, and kind of just explicitly go into like the idea of homophobia and using language that is either like identical to what we use or close enough that you can get it immediately. It's interesting because it's like, on the one hand, I was like, well, what, would they use the same language? But then I was like, it's a fantasy world and they have the same word for water. Why would they have the same word for this? So I enjoyed it, and I think it grounds it in, kind of being a parallel and being a story that the kids can read about coming out, and a world that is pretty, a very good mirror of their own in terms of like where the social status was. So I like those sort of direct vocabulary links and that sort of thing.
Yeah, let's talk about this topic. We can table the specific Korosami scenes. I'll go through all of them in a second. But I love this topic of, it's just, and not that personally meaningful for me, like, is meaningful in itself. I'm trying to convey my passion here. Like, it affects me so much that there will be kids reading, about Korra and Asami going through their struggles about being gay in this world and being able to personally relate to that. That's something I think we see in almost no other children's media these days, or almost media in general, but especially kids media. And just to see Korra and Asami like go through seeing homophobia and views of that in their world, I think is something gay kids reading that, like, it's going to be really meaningful. Like, I can imagine how meaningful that would be. And it's just so crazy to me. Like, we saw this, recently in A Heartbeat, the short film that came out. Sam wrote a great article about this at our overly animated blog section. And she talked about how, it's one thing to show, like an ideal world where like two people of the same sex can like be in a relationship, everyone's fine with it, and then it's another thing to show real struggles that you can personally relate to, and these are two different kind of approaches to it. And Sam, you in A Heartbeat liked the showing the struggles approach. I assume you also liked it here as well.
I did. I think that realism is, obviously what makes it more relatable. Since our world, obviously isn't an ideal world to live in. And seeing reflections of ourselves in the media that we consume is omni-important, because it gives us validation for who we are, and it shows us that things can be okay. Even throughout all of the, messed up stuff that might happen, there's still hope to be had that, at least somebody out there in the world has felt the same way that you felt. And they've put it on paper, right? It
validates our struggles, right? Like, I think that's the key thing. Like, just seeing media, like seeing people go through the struggles the same kind of struggles that you go through yourself. It's so validating. It's not to say that this is like the correct approach. I know in an interview I saw with Irene Coe, the artist of this, who I think does an incredible job, by the way, in this book, she talked about how initially when she saw Mike's script that, she was disappointed that it wouldn't just be like really happy for Korra and Asami throughout. She was just like, I wanted happy Spirit World adventures. This was, that might have been what she was expecting, but potentially the more she thought about it, that, it's maybe also, this is also like a good way to approach it, because it's like a reflection of our world, and it, can like do this struggle validating thing that I'm talking about. And it's not clear cut that the Avatar world has to have homophobia in it. That's not something we saw portrayed in Avatar or Korra. It's something that, I was going through our old podcast and we had like a podcast discussion. This is like one of the biggest flaws with the mythology of the Avatar world, is that there's just like no gay people in it. And like, not only do we see Korra and Asami, main characters who are queer, we see, we also learn Kaya and Kyoshi are queer as well. We see multiple other types of characters, and we also learn the viewpoints of people in the Avatar world. So this isn't something like that was like it's a crazy course correction, and it's like brilliant. That's one of the great things about this. But it's not clear cut. It wasn't something that was established before that. Britt, what's your take on this dichotomy between, or not this dichotomy, this like choice to make between presenting a fantasy world, which doesn't have to be one way or the other, as like mirroring our own cultural views, or presenting more of an ideal world where people wouldn't have to go through those struggles?
It kind of depends. Do you want to like talk about them, or do you want it to be sort of an aside as part of the background in your world building? Because it would make sense for people. Like, they have so many of the same cultural structures that we have. It would make sense for them to also have this. So, but I also think it has to do with what Mike wants to say and what Mike wants to show with Korrasami to, like, the people he knows that are in his fan base that read this, and the things that are important to them and would be important for them to see with, you know, Korrasami. This, I think ultimately he's writing this for them.
I think that's a
like, you don't make you know, art in a vacuum, especially not a comic like this. He knows the people who watch this or read this, what's important to them. And I think he's writing it so the one they can experience, like, the happy elation. Like, they went on a freaking girls trip, girlfriend getaway to, yes.
What kind of woman takes another woman to Paris?
Darn it, Mel. They went on a freaking girls trip to the spirit world and were super cute, right? But then they come back to the real world and they have, like, struggles. So, you know, we get you kind of get, like, both. And I think he's trying to give both, you know, a realism story and, like, still, like, happy fun times to the reader.
Yeah, I think there's a few great.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think there's a few great points there. Like, I think you're right that it's both. Like, we have a solid, like, 15 pages of them just being happy, and most of the book is them being happy. So, like, that gets fulfilled too. I also love your point about how Mike is, it's just ultimately the decision of Mike and the writer, and he's potentially viewing, like, what, like, people reading this might mean to them. So I think it's definitely possible, Mike, and I assume Brian also consulted on this. This is like a big, mythology, like, decision to portray homophobia. And Brian did, play a consulting role here, which, like that, like, it might be meaningful to our the people reading this and the fans of the show to portray it this way. Mel, like, maybe you can comment on this as a writer, but do you think that type of thing was potentially going through Mike's head as he's writing this?
The idea of mirroring versus
yeah, like that choice, and how maybe he chose the mirroring our cultural attitudes because it would be more meaningful to readers.
It's interesting because there are debates about, you know, like, which is more meaningful, like seeing the coming out story or seeing it just as is, right? So it's like, and I've mentioned this before, I think, way back in the day when we were talking about sexism in, you know, existing in the Avatar world and existing in fantasy worlds where they have these women who, like, overcome you know, barriers in the society, gender barriers to, like, be these great characters. But it's like, why do these fantasy worlds have to have inherent gender roles? Like, why is it always that these things have to mirror our world? Like, why isn't there just, you know, it's suggesting that there is something inherently structured in the way these things are, right? Like, obviously that's not true. It's just we're mirroring our own society. But specifically with, like, gender roles and issues of gender equality, and then here with issues of homophobia and sexual orientation, it's, you know, the one argument is, well, why does this fantasy world have to mirror our own? Why can't there be a fantasy world where it's just sort of accepted and it exists and there never was a problem? But on the other hand, people like to see their favorite characters and their favorite stories reflecting their own struggles, and I think both sides of it are valid. I think it comes down to what your own personal story is and what your own personal struggles are and how you personally would, I just said personally a lot, want
like
to
Kylie Jenner and realized, oh my god.
Right.
What are the
have, like,
references
a sort of,
here? Oh my god, continue.
have sort of a catharsis about it. Like, you have to, you know, you pick your way that you deal with it, and you sort of not necessarily cope with it, but kind of analyze it and have that catharsis. And, you know, all of them are valid. Like, I see all of them as valid. So this version of this, you know, this being the Avatar world where there is homophobia and there are laws against it in some places, and and there is prejudice is valid because it reflects a story that a group of people want to see. So to me, that's valid.
Valid TM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a
hashtag valid.
Anyway,
I don't know what you'll find on that hashtag, but it's I don't know, who knows on any, but I completely agree with Mel. I think there's both valid approaches. I think they both might be meaningful, and when I say that, I think that this realistic portrayal approach is really meaningful here. I don't mean to diminish the other viewpoint. Like, I also think like escapism and just seeing an idealized world is also very valid, and I certainly like use escapism from current events. Like, it's easier to mentally process for me, but I think that
nobody wants to focus on Trump, North Korea, and LGBT rights all the time. Sometimes we just want cute lesbians on a vacation.
Yeah, that's this. Yeah, Brit's review of Turf Wars: Escapism from Trump Nonsense. Okay, it's
Only Dylan's the only one who laughed.
It was good.
I like being sad.
Yeah, so that's the other side. No, but it's I don't even, what was I even talking about? Like, this is also, it's also
how both escapism and realistic.
they both can be differently meaningful to people, and I find both personally meaningful. I think that, like, this in particular approach was just strikingly meaningful here because it was like an unexpected and underutilized choice. It's not something that you'll find in other places. You'll find a lot of fantasy stories with idealized worlds, and that's like the only thing you'll find in children's media. So I think that it's like particularly meaningful in this case. I also briefly, I'll try to be brief on this. I think this is the more realistic choice for the Avatar world. I think that there's a few points to be made here. Like, okay, why is homophobia existing in the Avatar world realistic? We've never seen it before. Okay, so one, we've seen other forms of discrimination exist a lot in the Avatar world. So there's no reason that other forms of non quote unquote socially accepted types of people would be, or like majority people would not also be there.
I mean, they did also get out of 100-year war. Maybe they were kind of like focused on like not dying than hating gay people right now.
Yeah, that's interesting. So we also learned that Sozin instigated the
of which there are theories about.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. But
Sozin was gay.
Yeah, okay, we'll get that in a second. Spoilers. Yeah. So.
How is that spoilers?
Spoilers for the next comic, obviously. I think that we've seen sexism against Katara. That was a whole plot point in book 1 of Avatar, and just Sokka being sexist in early episodes, like that's a whole thing in the show. We see like non-bender discrimination. That's a whole thing in book 1 of Korra. We see just we see a lot of different types of discrimination. I mean, there's just the whole basic premise of the show is the Fire Nation committing genocide on the Airbenders. So that's also there.
Yay, racism.
Right? You know, like these aren't super explicit themes, but I mean that's explicit, but it's not like said in racist in like using that explicit language, but these are major parts of the series. So one, that. Two, then just the concept of the fact that clearly being straight is seen as like the quote unquote default in the Avatar world. Just the fact that we didn't see gay people in any of these series, it's like, oh, why ever they treat everyone equally? Well, then why aren't we seeing like more gay people like that? You know, it just the fact of how it was approached justifies there being like, it's the only thing that makes sense to me. I don't know if people agree with that, but that's kind of a high level point. So
it's always really remarkable to me how in the media how violence is always seen as more, I guess, more marketable and more acceptable than sexuality issues and issues of sex, especially in children's media. But you know, whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole nother thing. Is like why? Yeah, like why?
It's a whole can of worms.
Yeah, like just the fact that this type of thing is seen as inappropriate for kids, or even just like sex in general is seen as less appropriate than, and not that.
Yeah, but you can kill all the airbenders. Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, I agree. That was striking given our conversation. So that's a good point. But yeah, I just
didn't die on screen.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, they did not. Yeah. So to me, it makes more sense. That this is how it would be homophobia in the Avatar. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyone have comments there? You agree, Mel?
No, I agree.
Okay, cool.
I agree.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think that's like really interesting, just kind of this idealized versus showing the struggle, and I think it'll be meaningful to a lot of people. Okay. I think that's a great discussion, but let's get back to Korosami in general. Or we can, since we're here, let's talk about the different nations' viewpoints. I think that's more on topic. So let's go to this Kaya scene, because definitely one of the most notable scenes of the comic. As I'm
so revealing
as I'm trying to flip to it here as I've got this here. We're on page like 55-ish. So we see Kaya mentioning the different attitudes of the different nations. We learn that the Airbenders were always accepting of differences and embraced everyone no matter their orientation.
They were extra gay.
Does that? Yeah. Yep. I mean, we do see 2 male Airbenders sitting together.
They were all gay.
2 male Airbenders sitting together. Oh my goodness.
Very, very close together.
All of the Airbenders were gay.
They were sitting next to each other?
They must be very good friends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, boy pals. Yeah, exactly. Is there a term for that?
I remember that post.
Is that a post? I didn't even know.
I made that post. Oh no, it wasn't that one. It was "Look What the Homosexuals Have Done."
Yeah.
That was
That's not that related. I told you to post that. That was for the.
You did. That's why
Arrested Development pilot of Lucille Bluth.
Yeah. Credit for.
Insert poppin' bottles memes. I don't know how it's relevant, but to this discussion, but we got to get in poppin' bottles. So we learned that the Firebenders, for the most of its history, the Fire Nation was tolerant too, but then Fire Lord Sozin took power. He decreed that same-sex relationships were criminal.
Because he was gay.
Elaborate, Brit.
Well, sometimes, at least in literature, when you're gay, but you don't want to admit it, you get really angry about it, and you try extra hard to pretend that you're not the gay. And then you villainize other people who are gay to make you look extra not the gay.
Brit,
to prove that you're not the gay.
Brit defining internalized homophobia. Yeah, okay. The summary is the episode, The Avatar and the Fire Lord. We see Sozin and Roku, and they have.
He just wanted to bang Roku, but Roku did not want to bang him.
That's the summary of The Avatar.
Zuko could have had a very different family tree.
He had to put his misplaced aggression on something else.
Thanks, so your internalized homophobia has manifested into this huge war and the genocide of a bunch of people.
Basically.
He had to prove his manliness, his
Do you think that's a part of the reason why he killed the Airbenders?
Yeah, because they were extra gay.
I mean,
and he knew the Avatar was going to be born.
That too. But
and Roku left him to go train with the Avatars. And hang out with Gyatso, except he was like 12. Never mind, that wouldn't work out. That'd be creepy.
I don't even know.
Unless he was gay with a different Airbender who is not
Brett's
Gyatso.
writing fanfic right now.
It's not fanfic, it's canon.
So just this whole point of the Fire Lord, the Avatar and the Fire Lord being that episode, being this Dumbledore, Grindelwald type narrative with them. Yeah. So there's basically everyone thinks so, and not everyone. But they totally could just be. I don't know if that's intended. I think probably. I mean,
I think it was intended. Mike's like, I have this all planned out, guys.
Seems deep for Mike. I don't know, but maybe it's possible.
I think it's really interesting.
Mike doesn't have.
Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
That I think it's interesting that in most forms of media, same-sex relationships are usually cis female, and never cis male. I mean, of course, there are exceptions, but, even in Korosami here, like, we're seeing 2 women together and not 2 guys, and I wonder how that would be different if it was, like, Bolin or someone.
I would say in certain, this is a larger debate, I'd say in certain types of media, that's definitely true.
I was going to say that's definitely
in children's media and animation, that's definitely true. In, like, certain, like, younger theme show, but if you look at like broadcast television, you'll definitely see more gay males. But it's relevant to Korra, I would agree.
That's another thing.
Yeah, it's another thing, and we definitely don't in this book learn of any gay males. Mike and Brian at cons have said that Aiwei is gay.
Which one was Aiwei?
Thoughts? Okay, let's
right.
He was the guy in the stakeout.
The one with
okay, that really narrows it down.
The one with the nose.
So little respect for Aiwei here. Oh my goodness.
He dies.
Yeah, he dies. So
bury your gays. There you go.
Yeah. So we know that, but it wasn't said in the comic, and So yeah, it would be interesting to learn of more
things that Brittany doesn't remember.
Yeah, Highway apparently more gay males in the Avatar world. It's notable that it's not approached that much here. In terms of I appreciate this characterization of homophobia in the Fire Nation, because like it's instigated by one person. It proves it shows something that reflects our cultures that a lot of people just don't understand. They don't believe that there hasn't always been like straight defaulting and there hasn't always been straight defaulting and homophobia. Like it's sometimes more of a recent cultural trend. We see this with a lot of cultures, and it's instigated by a person who shifts cultural attitudes. It's not like culturally pervasive throughout human history. So I appreciate it on that level. We have the Earth Nation who says, after all, the Earth Kingdom has been the slowest to accept change and the most militaristically repressive.
Lame.
Yeah, unable to affect any kind of real progress. So they're the most homophobic, I guess.
But Kyoshi had the gay.
Yeah, the Kyoshi was bi, so that's cool.
Bi girls rule.
Yeah, and
the Water Tribe is like, keep your business to yourself.
And the Water Tribe says, that's the Water Tribe tradition for you. People like to keep family matters private. No one's going to disown you for coming out, but culture would prefer to keep yourself. I think this is a great range of spectrum of beliefs, of like homophobia and different like views of acceptance presented here.
Repeal, don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah, so
we did.
Well, I know we did.
Does Tonrak need to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell in the Water Tribe? Yeah. Are we campaigning for that now?
What about the other one, Unalak?
Unalak, I think he's dead.
Let's talk to Batu. Let's get Batu's opinion.
His opinion on Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Yeah. Let's. Can we ask Batu about that? I would actually really love to do that.
Or the twins.
Yeah. Desna and Eska are ruling in the north, so.
What are the Spirit World's opinions on this?
King in the north.
Yeah, what's Spirit One, the spirit we see here? He's apparently King Spirit. So what's his attitudes on this?
I don't even think they have a concept of gender, to be honest.
Are all spirits default gay because they're all spirits?
Yes.
I think yes, but that's what
orientation and gender identity are not one and the same.
I mean, some of them may not have like human-esque gender identities, so can they even be called gay?
Yeah, it's like the
Can you be
a spirit with absolutely no gender coding or anything? And
they don't have X chromosomes.
Yeah,
non-binary spirits. 2K.
Yeah, I think all spirits are canon non-binary. I agree.
Non-binary relationship spirits. Yeah.
What about the frogs? What about the frogs?
The Korra frogs? Oh my god, okay.
Hey, oh my god, I forgot about that. They were like a super big piece of evidence for people.
Dude, yeah, that was canon, remember? Popping bottles? Yeah, okay. So...
That's
my god.
Okay. So I love that the scene with Kaya and just learning about Kaya and how she's like, I remember the first get I had with my first girlfriend. I'd never been so happy.
Who was it? It was Lynn.
They're
dating.
I think so. I'd say Lynn doesn't fit the.
How awkward would that be? You date Tenzin and then you date Kaya. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh, next she's gonna have to bait Boomy. Ooh. Yeah. No. She's gonna have to go through all three kids.
Yeah, sorry, Tens.
She's gonna be like Black China. Oh my god.
Sorry, Tens.
Oh my
Kardashian reference.
Stop with.
Okay, no one get your Kardashian reference.
What's with these? Okay, I don't understand these references. Yeah.
I like
Lynn's like.
I like referencing the Kardashians because it confuses.
Yeah, that's the good. That's a good way to confuse me. Okay, so I think it's Lynn's like, sorry, Tens, that I'm breaking up with you to date your sister. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I don't think Lynn fits the moniker of the first girlfriend, although there's this great fan art going around of Lynn and Kaya. Yeah, I think everyone's shipping that right now.
Dylan, they're life partners. You don't understand.
Partners.
They could. I'm not saying they're not life partners, Sam.
I hate the word partners.
Yeah, why'd you say that? It's out of character.
I don't know. I was trying to be funny.
It was funny, but okay.
Because a lot of the time when straight people like talk about gay stuff, they're like, "Oh, is that your life partner?"
Yeah.
Like,
I'm okay with partner. I don't like life partner.
Yeah.
Like that's just stupid.
Yeah, that's not that.
Don't say that to anyone.
Yeah.
Your life partner.
Okay. More on opinions on.
Are they not your partner in life?
It's.
Don't say that.
Anyway, let's go through the Korrasami moments from the comic and comment on them. There's another relation to like just how LGBT issues are approached in the comic they like talk about, but it ties into Korrasami. So just the whole beginning of them going on vacation together, obviously, right? Like,
cute to boot.
Yeah, Def. We've on page 13. We have the first kiss. Glorious, right?
It's pretty great.
Yeah,
pretty real.
It's pretty great.
I don't like Korra's face right before it, but
yeah. Korra's just staring lovingly. Stam doesn't like the staring lovingly. No.
No, I don't. I don't stare lovingly at anything.
Not even pizza?
No.
Oh, pizza.
Pizza's pretty good though. Okay, so on the next page we have 14. We have like when they learned feelings for each other. This is something that was on my Korrasami bucket list. Like things to before
your bucket list or your vision board?
My vision board. Is this like?
Oh my god!
Brit says weird
things
like,
sometimes.
I know what a vision board is.
How do you not know what a vision board is?
I think of Pinterest when I heard that, so I don't know if this is Pinterest
yeah, exactly.
related.
Is that what it is?
Is it?
Dylan lives in 2011. I swear.
I do, but yeah, it's that's when, gosh.
It's your vision board.
That's when Korra was
like...
on. Jeez, that's where I live. But this is something I definitely wanted to see from Korrasami, and we learned that Asami says that she developed feelings for Korra during the 3 years they are gone. I think that's when I realized how much you meant to me. I almost told you in one of my letters. And then Korra says that she developed feelings after I was poisoned. You were there for me when I couldn't even be there for myself.
You know what?
Oh.
Yeah.
Shouldn't confess to somebody via letter. Don't do that.
Which is
like
why she stopped. She was basically doing the her world version of texting.
Exactly.
And then it would have been a whole like read at 11:20 p.m. and then there was just no response.
Yeah, because I know how that rabbit hole goes. Just don't do it, kids.
I mean,
don't do it.
Anyway, so let's talk about when these develop feelings. Because we had a lot of. This is always a big shipping.
Yeah, probably don't do it.
It's always a big shipping topic, and we had thoughts on this. So we learned that Korra develops feelings after she was poisoned. It's like somewhere in the absence, and the post book 3 finale pre Korra alone. I think this checks out to me. I'm fine with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds fine.
Yeah, the Sami one, Sami developed feelings in that same 3-year period. I always read book 3 as burgeoning feelings with Asami towards Korra. Like their friendship developed. I got the impression Asami started crushing on Korra during book 3, so I wasn't crazy with that characterization.
Well, maybe she needed those 3 years to just sit back and think about it.
Yeah, I think she might not have
Yeah, maybe it was one of those things where you don't realize.
Yeah. She's like, she's like my best friend. And it's like, oh, that's what this means in my head. Yeah, I buy that. Yeah. I would love more depth into that. It's like I felt so much towards you.
You want her to write you an essay?
No.
I want to see what her letter was going to say.
Yeah, let's get the letter.
I want to see that letter too before she burns it or eats it or.
Yeah, that's a good point though. From
however you get rid of letters, I don't know.
And then she goes back and just writes about.
Can I posit shredding? Is that what Mel said? Aren't you? Anyway, not that we have shredders here, but
she goes back and she writes about how she had a crush on her best friend in the 5th grade, and she didn't know, but now she's like, oh, that's what that was. And now, Korra, I have the same feelings for you.
Yeah, I love that. I think that'd be great. Brit brings
fanfic right there.
Yeah, let's write the fanfic, collective fanfic now. I think Brit is a good point in that we're limited by how many words we can say basically in the comic format. There's only so much a speech bubble can do here, so we can't really get too much in the depth. I think that's one of the biggest limitations of this format in getting into longer form narratives like this. But I think Mike does a great job in the limitations.
She can't really go on a soliloquy Hamlet style.
I would be up for just one of the pages being
How
a letter.
else are you supposed to confess your love?
Yeah, just a full page, just
verse.
Korra, when I first saw you that one day when I don't remember what episode it was, you looked really tough.
Is that what she's saying? Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Okay.
And then 3 years later, I fell in love with you.
Yeah, that'd be good.
To be or to not to be, that is the question. The slings and arrows of outrageous fortune.
Okay, that'll be in part 2.
Korra, you want to go out?
Yeah, that's the conclusion to that. Okay, I like that.
You want to go on a date?
Yeah. That's a
check. Yes.
Yeah. Do you like me? Yes or no? Okay, there you go.
Check. Yes.
No. Do you like me? Yes or yes?
Yes or yes? Yeah.
So
that would be the Korra. That would be the 5th grade Korra way. I agree. Yeah.
Do you remember? That's from Gravity Falls, right? You guys remember that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a general thing, but yeah, that was in Gravity Falls.
Has anybody ever done that, like, ever in the past?
It's a
yes.
kid's trope, yeah. It's like...
What,
but it didn't work out.
Aww.
But we were also in 2nd grade, so...
Let's dive into that
it's recent.
So...
Even in, like, real life now.
People...
Yeah, Mel, haven't you ever messaged somebody, do you like me? Check yes or no.
Absolutely not. I've never talked to anyone about anything ever.
Just in general?
That's true.
Okay, anyway, let's go to page 19.
Mel is just a figment of our imagination, isn't you know?
Yeah.
That's the twist ending to this podcast.
I'm writing that down in my journal. Mel is just a
Is this on your...
Do you journal about me often? I hope so.
Is this... I was going to say, is this like your vision board that you're writing this on? Is that what that is?
No, I have like an actual vision board and it's beautiful.
I still don't get it.
It has all my hopes and dreams on it.
What is it? Okay.
Dylan, just Google it. How do you
just Google what a vision board is. You can't put it into words what it is.
Is it like when like someone's obsessed with something in a show and they have like red lines and they're like circling like, oh, I'm putting it all together? That would be...
Oh, good. There's a HuffPo article.
Oh my god.
I'm not surprised.
No,
that's not what that is? Yeah, I was going to say Styles. Yeah, it's not that. It's not that. Okay, let's continue here. So, page 19, we have Korra coming out to her parents.
God, this is like Oprah.
What is like the vision board? Okay.
Vision board. Vision board.
There's like a solid 20 minutes of this podcast. We're very on topic and serious. Okay. Page 19 here. We're Korra.
No one listens for the topic.
Yeah. Comment. Do you listen for the topic or for the nonsense? Comment that. Okay.
Like that meme on Tumblr where you're just laughing along with the billboard.
Yeah. That's exactly. Yeah, that's what people are right now.
All right, continue.
Like vision board. The guy with the cereal. Yeah. Okay. Is he eating cereal? I think so. On the meme? Okay.
Who?
No, on the meme. The guy. Anyway, page 19. So Korra is coming out to her parents. So what do we, Tonrak's reaction? They're like, it's wonderful. And then later he's like, oh, just don't tell anyone. I found this to be like a very realistic type of reaction.
Yes. Like, we love you no matter what, but like, don't do anything dumb. I don't know. Do you feel like they were embarrassed by her? Because I couldn't tell.
I think it comes from a place of being concerned from Tonrak, but I also do think it's like a homophobic response to that be the second thing you say to someone after they come out. I think it comes from a place of uncomfortableness too. It's going to vary, but like I don't like think that Tonrak was like hateful there, but it's obviously not a great thing to say. Yeah.
Yeah, hide who you are, Korra.
It's like, why would you tell someone to hide who you are? Yeah, you should, like, I'll support you through the struggles you'll face. Like, and even that's not a good thing to say.
Think about the tabloids, Dylan.
Yeah,
Also, she's like the Avatar. What are they gonna do? Beat her up?
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Like, who's gonna, like...
Yeah, that's basically Korra's reaction. This is all just...
What are you gonna say? I don't approve? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think the next 20 and 21 are great 2 pages of, Asami being like somewhat uncomfortable with what Korra's doing, and Korra's like, I shouldn't have steamrolled my feelings over you. I shouldn't have been so eager to come out. And Asami's like, it's okay. I'm excited too. And they're like, we're great. So that's, I
just want to keep you to myself. Our love is special and rare, like the spirit world.
Yeah, so that's what Asami says. But
oh yeah, that is the
But
line.
what we have, it's kind of like the spirit world. It's special and rare. Not everyone is going to see it that way, which I like the sentiment behind, but it's kind of awkwardly written line.
Bogus line.
It's kind of the worst.
Nobody says
it's kind of the worst line of the comic, but it's I don't know. It's during this great scene. I'm willing to overlook this.
Also, the spirit world is like a whole world. It isn't rare. Like, I don't...
It's rare to people who've never been there, but it's not, yeah. That's
a good metaphor for love, Dylan.
How is a place rare that's just always there, right? Like this...
It's rare to people who haven't been there. A metaphor for love.
The Amazon is rare. No, it's hard to
would you call the Amazon rare? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. It's like...
I mean, it's hard to get to for white people who don't live there, but...
I think so.
Anyways, continue.
The general point with the scene... Brit's... that's your job, Brit, is you're keeping things on topic, right? Like, that's right.
Vision board.
Vision board, yeah. So, I love the scene because it's like exploring like how people have different feelings about like when in like two people in a same-sex relationship have different thoughts about like when to come out, and Korra's like overeager, and like we didn't get into like in too much depth, but I love that we like got into like this is the type of thing I never thought we'd see from this comic. And just like Asami's like, yeah, that wasn't super. She doesn't say this, but she's like, yeah, not super great, but you're great, and I understand you're Korra, and yeah. So I just felt
she knows what she's getting into.
Yeah, dating Korra. I mean, it's yeah. We need to explore the pitfalls of dating Korra.
Pros and cons, Venn diagram
on a vision board. Yeah. So that's is that what it is? I don't know.
That is not.
Am I?
Yeah, a Venn diagram is.
Am I hot or cold? Am I? Okay,
cold.
Noted. So yeah, I found that just overall getting into that type of thing is overall I found that very true to life. Agree, disagree?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
I don't have experience.
In general, in theory, okay.
I've never loved anybody or anything.
Yeah. Okay.
So I can't relate.
I think you love like Korrasami, right? Right, we all love Korrasami.
Pat,
I'm filling time as I'm flipping pages. Okay. So we have, I want to note, like this 41 section, page 42, where Korra and Asami kind of get into an argument. It's, Asami calls, Korra inspiring the people not, practical, and Korra gets upset over that. And they kind of go their different ways to handle this displaced people thing differently. But so I think I felt like that was kind of a very realistic disagreement for them to get into, considering Asami's like an engineer, very in the weeds, and Korra is a very like the most high level broad position you can have in this world. I think this is like a very realistic type of conflict for the two. So I think like the conflict's realistic. It didn't seem shoehorned into me, and then they resolve it very quickly. They're like, okay, let's work together on this diagram a few pages later. So like, I love that we saw some sort of like growing between the two of them, some sort of conflict that wasn't, like too shoehorned or, overdone.
Being the Avatar probably really sucks.
Isn't that the whole point of both of these shows?
Yeah.
If I was the Avatar, I wouldn't be.
You'd be the water Avatar from like, the Roku.
Kuruk.
The one who
Kuruk,
like
he goes surfing. Yeah, that'd be Sam. Okay.
Yeah, that would be me.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. Then we had not Kuruk, but the thing I was talking about before, and then we talked about page the Kaya scenes. Those were great. Page 53, Asami says, "Beautiful sunset." Korra says, looking at her, "It is."
Oh, so original.
What is that?
It's called a cliche.
It is. Yeah.
People in love?
Yeah.
Nobody says that. Nobody does that.
I don't think that's what people said, yeah. And
people don't.
And then at page 73, we have Korra and Asami kissing for the second time after Korra saves Asami, and then we see the reactions that everyone has to it. Bolin's like, "You guys are a couple." Opal's like, "Oh!" Janor's like, "Yay!" And then Maka's like, So those are my impressions of how everyone reacts to it.
Why can't Korra just give Asami room to breathe? I mean, she just like passed out. The girl needs to breathe. She doesn't need your lips on her. She needs to breathe.
It did seem kind of sudden, yeah. It was great. It was great though.
Nobody needs that. Don't kiss me if I just passed out.
Asami seemed to enjoy it, Sam, is what I'll say.
Okay, well, that half-baked attempt at CPR, not gonna work.
I don't think this was the CPR trope.
You gotta woo me.
I don't
more.
think. Do you have thoughts on their second kiss in the climax at the end?
It was nice.
Okay, good thoughts. Mel,
you don't think she needs breathing room after she just passed out?
Okay, logistics don't matter in these things. Yeah. Like,
there's more time between panels than it seems like. We're game.
It was actually a whole day.
Yeah, we're Game of Thronesing this, where nothing is in proper timeline.
They're mermen. They're all mermen.
Varys is a merman. Who is a merman here?
Okay,
well,
that reference I can contribute.
But now everyone's
that
a merman,
reference I can contribute. Okay, so yeah, those are the Korrasami moments. I love all of that, and I love the types of things we got into. So yeah, just so meaningful, so in depth. I don't know. Any before we get into the other unimportant parts of the comic, any final Korrasami or LGBT in this comic thoughts?
No.
Love the gays.
Okay, done. If it comes up, you can say later.
I want to thank God. And
that's what that was.
Gonna give the gays everything they want.
Okay, so I mean, basically, that was Turf Wars. That's Turf Wars Part 1 summary, I'd say.
Well, not everything, but mostly everything.
Real talk, was there anything that you would have wanted that we didn't see here?
They didn't bang.
Jeez.
A very eloquent way to say what I was just thinking.
Really? Okay. Two for that.
Do you think that they did in the spirit world?
Okay, but how does that
they
work
say
in a graphic novel? Like, I can see it.
Have you ever read Saga?
They say
Yes,
Doesn't make it work.
they say how
in
is they say how is the
fanfiction-
vacation? It was spirited. I forgot to mention that part. I think that's code for what we're talking about.
So they probably had sex.
Oh my god, this is a PG
Just
PG podcast. So, no, seriously, other than that, yeah. So I think you can, if it comes up, you can interrupt.
They could at least done something. They had that one scene in the tent with Suko and Sokka
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
road.
Oh yeah,
Forgot about
no,
that
when
one,
100% Sokka and Suki were gonna bang.
True.
Yeah. Well,
Precedent.
the Korra and Asami are two consenting adults. They're in their 20s. They can have sex.
Okay. Again, PG podcast, but I'll let it fly.
Okay, well, sex is not a shameful thing, Dylan. I'm sorry.
The thing we talked about earlier about how that being culturally unacceptable, violence culturally acceptable for rating systems.
Exactly.
Okay. So the other stuff in the comic, I like how I was like, we'll spend like 20 minutes on Korrasami is like an hour. Okay. So the plot of this comic involves triads. Mel presented the anti-triad. Brit, you said you were fine with the triads?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
it's fine.
I think it was fine. I don't know why this is the thing we're choosing to bring back here.
I'm not
Like,
anti-triad. I just don't care.
oh, I'm anti-triad. I would say that, but I think it was fine. It was fine, like the way it was presented. But I agree. It's like this thing didn't super work in book one. Why is this what we're bringing back for the plot? But I guess there's nothing else to do in Republic City.
What if they threw in pro bending again?
Oh, I would love that.
How would that translate into graphic novels?
Why have we not seen pro bending, Sam? You just blew my mind. Why is there not a pro bending comic? Spin-off pro bending comic. They're making like a tabletop pro bending game, I think, and I'm like, why is anyone buying that?
Do that.
Anyway, they announced.
Dylan, you're gonna buy it.
Yep. Probably. Yeah.
Yep.
Probably. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, the triad stuff. Let's go through the new characters. Britt, what do you think of Tokuga, the new villain, the new leader of the Triple Vet Triads? He's a chi blocker.
He looks like fun. I hope he's related to Ty Lee, but he's not.
What if he was Ty Lee's
He
son?
got I would be so happy, but he's not. Okay, my dreams don't come true like that.
What if he's Ty Lee and Sokka's son?
No.
Do not let
That
me
didn't
have
happen.
Why not?
Sokka just Toph and Ty Lee and yeah, all of them. So
I guess that'd be too old. He could be their grandson.
yeah, right. I don't know if the ages work, but
He doesn't work. Anyways, it
do
doesn't
you like
matter.
Tokuga?
He's
Okay.
fine.
Mel.
He has to be developed more. They made him like.
Yeah.
They make him. Oh, what's the character? Oh, I'm so bad with names.
Who are you talking? I don't know.
They made him a lot like
Aang?
we've seen before.
Aang, Korra,
His
yeah.
personality.
Right? Rami Malek?
No,
That guy?
he's just
Mr. Robot?
seems kind of like a villain we've seen before in Avatar.
Okay. Noted. Yeah, it's
Personality
kind of like a
wise.
generic villain type. Mel, any Tokuga thoughts?
I'd have zero,
Sam,
honestly.
any Tokuga thoughts?
He's a tentacle monster, so there's that.
Cthulhu!
So in the last panel, the thing after he becomes the bird, it seems like he is the
Kinda
tentacle
weird.
arm, yeah.
He's kind of cute and just a little squishy.
Like the tentacle arm or him as a person?
Never mind.
Like what were you said I thought you knew I knew what you were saying, then you said squishy, so I was like, what's going okay. Yeah, so he becomes like this
He did look squishy. Yes.
yeah, with it, yeah. He becomes like a spirit bird at the end.
It's kind of
I'd be
weird.
so pissed.
Why were you pissed?
I said I would.
You would be so pissed. Aren't you like a cool like hybrid? I don't know. He was not happy. Yeah, so he goes to take over KOM Industries. It's I think it's a cool concept, but I don't know. It's kind of an underwhelming ending. It's like, okay, I don't care about this guy and don't see the point of what's happening with this. So
It's supposed
It's like-
to be edgy and neat and
I don't know.
It's like the
Oh, man.
cliffhanger from Welcome to Republic City with Amon, when he's just like sitting in his underground bunker with the radio.
we were all kind of like, eh.
back. Yeah, I think
I don't know.
and I'd say underwhelming is also only part one, so we can't judge yet. So we'll have to see in part two how he's handled.
Maybe he'll be cool. Maybe he'll have a neat backstory. Maybe his character will be interesting and do something neat other than being smart and cold and calculating.
Yeah, maybe, but
maybe he'll become endearing and we'll root for him but also hate him.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll just be fun to watch be crazy like Azula.
These are a lot of possibilities, yeah. You enumerated all the possibilities, so one of those things. Britt, what are your thoughts on Wen Yan? Do you know who he is? Pop quiz, do you know who Wen Yan is?
I don't.
He's none surprising.
What does he look like? What does he do?
He's Raiko's campaign manager.
I liked him. That was fun. I liked that little dynamic. I was like, I know you're on the nose, but I'm still laughing.
Yeah, I agree. On the nose character, but he was only on a few pages, but he kind of stood out more than these other guys. And we have Wan Yong Keum. He wants to go send tourists to the spirit world. He's the leader of the Keum Industries.
Capitalize the spirits.
Yeah. Yep, that's what he wants to do.
Not good.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Somehow I don't think the spirits will be up for that. They'll be like,
yeah, they seem not to be up for that. They fought for, they were, I think, actively opposed here.
I mean, I say just let them go at it and then let the spirits, kill them off and then be like, well, we told you not to do that and you did. So have fun with that.
The spirits here led by Spirit 1, I believe the name is from that episode of Book 4. He's
Beyond the
Wilds, as we figured out before. So it's so it's a return with this spirit here. I guess he's the only notable spirit we can bring into lead. I don't know. He's cool design, I guess.
What about the lemur guy? He was notable in Book 2.
The lemur guy.
Oh yeah, that one lemur guy.
Yeah, the guy.
Oh, I know, the dude from Avatar 1.
Yeah, well, he's old. That's all a long time ago, but yeah.
Well, he can still be alive.
Number 1. He's a spirit.
Our spirit's immortal. That's our next topic. No, but yeah. So those are the new characters. Let's talk about how all of the other characters, not Korra and Asami, were used in this. Mako and Bolin. Bolin is now a cop alongside Mako on a triad task force.
I think it's dumb they made him a cop.
Did you? So you didn't like that? Why?
It's nothing to do with Mago's personality, and I think he's going to end up not liking it.
With Bolin's personality, yeah, that's possible. Sam, thoughts? It's like I used
to say back in the day. We could have had it all. Bolin
Why
in the
is that
deep.
related to this topic?
Because they're just putting his character on the side.
Yeah, they're just we need to give him something to do. We'll stick him with Mako.
I like that this comic develops the Mako and Bolin brotherhood. That's what I like about it.
I wish Bolin was somebody else that he isn't.
Elaborate on that thought.
I don't know. I feel like he could have had some real depth and growth.
Yeah. Well, maybe
and I guess in some respects maybe Book 4 he did, but it just he could have been so much better.
Could have had it all. Okay. So yeah, it's
Yep.
So I love the moment between Mako and Bolin in the climax where Bolin I think does something good and Mako's yeah, thanks partner. So he recognizes him as his cop partner. I think it was a great moment in the climax of the thing. I think both of them are fine. Mako's dealing with his reaction to Korra-sama, you guys are dating each other? What? Yeah.
I turned both my girlfriends gay.
Oh, shit.
You turned
them goodbye, but
you have the gay now? Oh, damn it.
I gave them the gay.
That's what he's processing. He's still processing. Okay.
It's gonna be another 4 months before he wraps his head around.
Yeah, he won't. He would next.
He's Ross with his ex-wife becoming.
Oh my god, he would not let go of the fact that his ex-wife was a lesbian.
That's who Mako
What are you
reminds
talking
me
about?
of.
Okay.
Ross from Friends.
Friends.
Okay. I don't understand
Ross.
Friends references
Ross,
either.
his wife, they get a divorce because his wife realizes she's gay, and he cannot fathom it.
Wouldn't you be gay if you dated Ross?
Yeah,
I think I would hate myself, but yes.
I would never get in that situation.
Exactly, because I'm gay already.
I understand none of this. Two-toed pink.
Dylan, have you?
My impression of Friends is that it's just incredibly straight and white, so I'm not interested. But
that's my impression too.
Two-toed ping is back. I was excited to see him back from book two. Book 2 of Korra back. I think he's funny. I think it was a good return choice.
How can he walk with only 2 toes? Don't you need those for like balance?
I feel like
You can learn to walk
I
without
think we
them.
might have addressed this. I don't know.
Does he actually have 2 toes, or is it because he had 2 extra toes?
Oh yeah,
it
it
is 2
is,
extra
right?
toes. Yeah, we got to watch that episode 6 of book 2 for that again.
Because there's already like a 6-toed or 7-toed ping or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Remember, it's all
12-toed ping
book
over on the south side.
Yeah, book 2 of Korra, all coming back to us now. Interesting time. Other characters, Janora, I think was I was satisfied with the amount of Janora here. She talked a lot in the beginning. She's kind of representing Airbenders. She was cool.
I like that she's a rebel.
Yeah, that's a good look.
Bring on Rebel Janora.
Yeah, Rebel Janora in there.
Give her some black eyeliner and like a punk rock haircut. Let's go.
Oh, Dylan, remember that headcanon I had like a couple years ago where Korra was Janora's like first like crush?
I did that headcanon, yeah.
Yeah. Remember that. That was great.
She was very the most emotive about learning Korra and Asami are dating. She's like, oh, there's like a few panels of that, so it's great.
She is a child who's going to be reading this, getting hope for the future.
Yeah, Janora is one of these children that we're talking about, exactly. So
she needs the representation.
Yeah, Janora's reading this comic and is representation. We get I was not Opal doesn't do much. She had one line in the beginning. Let's not even clear that's her line, and then at the end she's like, no pressure on that double date. So not a lot of Opal there. Yeah, but we'll hopefully in later comics more Opal. Tenzin had a moment with Korra that was nice. Lin, so Lin was like the representative of the cops here. She didn't do that much other than that, but it seems like we're potentially going to see more Lin eventually.
More Lin.
Yeah, because she's dating Kaya.
Yeah, Delaney, who couldn't be with us, says, not enough Lin. Where's my Lin and Kaya? Also, Delaney's overall summary is basically it's gay and they kiss and Kaya's great and the plot is meh. So that's Delaney's the summary of what Delaney said about the comic. And what other characters are there? No Boomy at all. Kai has one line, but yeah, doesn't really do anything. Raiko's there. Yeah, I like the use of Raiko.
Looks good shirtless.
You like the Raiko poster? You're a fan? Yeah.
I guess.
I thought it was a good poster.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know what other characters are.
I'd bang him.
Wait, what? Elaborate. No, JK. So
Julie.
Julie, yeah, a lot of Julie here.
Julie, that was great. I love her.
Yeah.
President Julie.
No Varric at all. Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, Varric's dead.
Yeah, it seems like the plot of one of the upcoming part 2 or 3, I don't remember, is that Julie's going to run against Raiko. So
she killed Varric.
Killed Varric, yeah, canon. I mean, why is he not there? They're married now, so.
Because he's dead.
Did she kill Varric? I don't remember.
It's not clear. No, no, she didn't. Obviously not. Yeah.
Yep. Yes, she did.
Did not.
It happened.
No. And
as Korra and Asami were walking into the spirit world, there you saw at the very edge.
if you pause it at the right time, you can see that. Yeah, just cold-blooded murder happening. Yeah.
Julie dropped Varric.
Yeah.
Is he dead, or is that like he's just now her housewife?
I don't know. I guess he just wasn't in this for some reason.
He's dead.
Was interesting. We had
Naga and Pabu dead.
Good.
Jesus.
Yeah, Naga and Pabu not in this at all. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you take Naga into the
I don't know why Naga
just to hang out?
How did we get here?
We're talking about all the other characters. This is actually on topic. We're talking about all the other characters. Yeah.
Sam just.
I had an actual question. Why didn't she take Naga?
I would have liked to have
seen
seen
the
Naga,
spirit world.
Naga would have been a distraction from the action.
I guess, yeah, a distraction from.
I mean,
and of course a big feature for Kaya. I'm randomly going through last things. One of my favorite panels, page 44. We have like these random shots of people asking Korra for things, and there's this one little girl who's like, "Koki lost her eye. Can you find it?" When she's like a bison plush.
Go find it.
Love it.
Yeah, so I like that. We have I like that they have bison plushes also in the Avatar world.
I'm just glad they have plushies.
Its name is Avatar.
Its name's Avatar. Yeah, no one understands that.
I like how we call it a plushie instead of a stuffed animal.
No, that's plushie's cuter.
That's just what Dylan does.
I think it's plushy, stuffed animal, whatever.
All right, well, you do you.
I think
Dylan's extra.
Extra, okay. And
Firebend my tea. It's
other,
cold.
yeah, she says that. Yeah. Other notable things. I found the climax way more engaging than any of their action sequences from the Avatar comics because I like the use of characters we knew and I was invested in what they were doing. I also like the theme of spirits versus humans and continuing this on. The spirits being like not liking the encroachment potentially upon the spirit world or the portal.
Would that be man versus man, Mel, or man versus nature?
I think it's like a man versus nature plot.
Spirit world? That's going to be spirit world. Or that's going to be nature.
Yeah, I think we talked about this potentially during like Avatar.
Just make a whole new category, man versus spirit world.
Yeah. And
go back and revise his writing textbooks.
And I love that we saw the ramifications of the spirit portal being in Republic City. I didn't know why we had to have it there. It seems random and inconsequential, but like this comic treated it as legitimate, and like we actually saw a realistic representation of what would happen given that it just appears there. So I like that.
The whole conflict just seems kind of dumb. Like, the spirits don't want it open. Why doesn't Korra just close
Korra
it?
seems...
The humans don't really want it open either. Why doesn't she just close
because
it?
Korra wants to do what Korra wants to do, and no one in history has ever stopped Korra from doing what Korra wants to do.
Yeah.
I think that she'll end up closing it and maybe opening another one somewhere else.
She's only going to close it when she wants to close it.
Yes.
She will not be bullied into doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, screw what you guys want. I think that you'll get along better if it's open.
That's literally what Korra says. Yeah, I think it's definitely notable that she just, despite what the spirits say, she just wants to keep it open. I think we're going to expand upon that more. She's like treating the bridge part of the Avatar job seriously. She wants to like be proactive and actively try to reconcile the spirits and the humans. It's something that wasn't really explored that much in this comic that I'd like to see Korra's motivations get into more in part 2 and 3.
Korra, sweetheart, I don't think that of all the avatars, you are the one to just integrate the spirits back. I don't think you can handle it.
Really? You don't think she can?
No.
I think it's going to take her like 20 years, but she'll get there.
Yeah. But like a lot of people are probably going to die.
But they're not. She's the only person stubborn enough to put up with those of their idiocracies.
Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, if you did this to me, I would get tired like 15 minutes ago and been like, all right, I'm closing this. Shut up. I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
But Korra's like, no, I'm going to close it when I feel like it, and that's it. Because she's stubborn. It all works out. You have pros and cons to everything.
Yeah, we'll see.
And that's what makes Korra a good avatar. We literally had a whole show about this.
Yeah, we don't get into the Korra good avatar, bad avatar can of worms here. But, yeah. Also, Iki doesn't do that much. She's the, like, one-line Milo.
She's there?
She's there in the tent scene. Milo's there. He says, Pokey for president. That's what Milo says, so.
Who are these children?
So, they're there. Okay. Let's wrap this up.
The children were cute.
Oh my god.
Mel woke up when I said let's wrap this up. We're running along here. Yeah, so give me your final thoughts on Turf Wars Part 1, Mel.
Okay as a graphic novel story. Be gay, which is good. All the above things that I said previous to this.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
Good final thoughts. Mel's final thoughts. Please see my previous thoughts. Okay. Brit, what are your last thoughts on Turf Wars Part 1? Is that it? Is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That was it.
Sam, the bar is low. What were your final thoughts here on Turf Wars Part 1?
Kind of dumb and gay, which is a good descriptor for myself.
Sam relates to the comic. Yeah.
I figured it out. It did really well as like a fan fiction, like gay cutesiness, but like plot wise, anything that happened was kind of like, where are you going with this? You're just having character development, but nothing's really happening.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel
there's no like forward momentum that we actually care about.
It feels a lot like The Promise, which was the first Avatar comic, and like,
I still maintain that the Promise wasn't good. The Search was good.
The Promise was
I hear all of these complaints. I agree with a lot of them.
This is better than The Promise.
Yeah. I agree with a lot of them. I'll say I'm extremely, extremely happy with Turf Wars Part 1. Again, I don't care about any of these things. Not that you're wrong for caring about the problems. I just like, we got like everything I ever wanted from Korrasami and LGBT portrayal in the Avatar world. So
so you're just like shipping and then done. Okay.
I mean, yeah, I think that's the summary of Turf Wars Part 1.
Yep.
That's the point.
That's why it exists. Not bad. This was not a complaint.
Yeah, I was, I definitely, there are things wrong with it, but I was incredibly happy and very much look forward to Turf Wars Part 2. So, January, that's when that's coming out.
January.
Yeah, so fun.
Long time from now.
So, let us know what you thought of this discussion in the comments. Use the hashtag Vision Board to discuss our this episode.
Make your own vision board for where you want Turf Wars Part 2 to be, and post it on Tumblr and tag
my final
me in it.
Guess.
And I will review it.
My final guess of a vision board would be a collage.
Sort of.
Oh my god, you're
okay. Got it. There we go. That's kind of a general guess. But yeah, so let us know what you thought of this from the Spirit World Union. You can check out all of our previous From the Spirit World podcasts. Remember, again, that archival link was overlyanimated.com/FTSW/feed.
Listen to Dylan pre-puberty.
No, thank you. Find everything overlyanimated.com. We cover a bunch of animated shows. You can find all that there. And consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thank you very much to all of our patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Connie, aka Veronica Kukumunga. And thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Andy. Thank you, Mel, Britt, and Sam for sitting through this extended podcast.
Don't laugh before you say my name.
You're gonna laugh?
You're welcome.
Mel.
I didn't laugh spending time with my friends.
You don't laugh before I say your name. Elaborate. No. I wasn't laughing. But I love spending time with my friends. Okay. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys.
I love spending time with my friends.
Let us know what you thought, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Toodles.
Oh, bye.
Bye.